a bustling marketplace of ancient Athens where traders' voices echo amidst the chaos. Among them stand bewildered and weary slaves struggling to comprehend the foreign tongues. But not all of them face the same fate. Shockingly, the vendors were fixated on the youngest male slaves. Why, you may wonder? It was commonplace for older men to engage in relationship with adolescent boys called courtship to impart wisdom and education. However, if the wealthiest perpetrators fancied these boys, they could elevate them from lowly slaves to prized possessions. Unbelievable, right? If you're intrigued by the peculiar world of male concubines in Greece, then don't miss this video. Brace yourself to be shocked, intrigued, and perhaps even unsettled. In the ancient world, male concubines were all the rage. From Greece to Rome, these catamites were young lads who pleased the male head of the household and other men. But they weren't just for pleasure. These boys also acted as servants and entertainers. So forget Netflix and chill. Ancient elites knew how to have a good time with their trusty catamites, even though this is completely abhorrent to modern sensibilities, and apparently so in earlier times. This person had no remorse for the deed. Keeping male concubines was a common practice in ancient societies, despite having little to no social or legal repercussions. It was most likely practiced in royal palaces and the opulent residences of the richest merchants. Keeping concubines depended on one's financial situation. Those who could afford them might own them. Look no further than Zeus's abduction of Ganymede, the lovely Trojan, to see how ancient texts discuss male concubines and the social attitudes surrounding them while normalized and prevalent. There was also a stigma against young people. Pure delicatus was a slang term from Latin for a delicate guy, yet a concubine additionally. It was offensive when directed at a masculine grown-up. The same applies to catamite, which is a term used in society to describe and reproach to any beyond. Male brothels were a common sight in ancient Greek cities, with individual cabins set up on city streets for this purpose. Sex workers paid taxes on their earnings, which could result in the death penalty and execution. It was normalized for relationships and older partners to purchase gifts for their boyfriends, so a young boy who was sought after by many could act in such a way not in reputation and definitely not in public opinion. This was a serious offense that could result in the death penalty and execution. Male concubines in Athens were mainly young men enslaved and sold into prostitution. The ancient Greek view of love and sexuality informed the normalcy of pederasty relationships, which were viewed in terms of power dynamics rather than gender. The only forbidden or potential shame was being the passive partner to another man, but there was some character-building sentiment behind aphoristic unions. Any relationship between a boy and a man would need to be approved by the father of the home. In Sparta, for example, the boy would be paired with a Spartan warrior, the older warrior serving as a mentor, and the younger boy as a companion and sexual partner until his elder was married off. Sexual companionship with younger boys was a rite of passage prostitute and a stepping stone until his elder was married off. Charming. In ancient times, older men pursued young boys for a relationship with special names such as Romulus and Erastus. Boys were expected to show resistance at first, but there was no sexual component and favors were only given in exchange for mentoring. The relationship between adult men and boys were disciplined and provoked to give information, wise words, and experience. To the young person, the connection was made for a student of a teacher. Dynamic, try fewer lovers at once for clarity. The adolescent boys in question are often between the ages of 12 and 17, and you thought high school was a challenging experience. Despite this, what is regarded to be the standard age range appears to be a very atypical practice. In spite of this, what is generally thought of as the average age range appears to be a rather uncommon tradition. Ancient Greek society was categorized by the purchase and grooming of youths for sexual pleasure and outlawing their prostitution status. Male concubines were often found in the company of the wealthiest in society and were used as displays of power for their affluent patrons. Catamites were treated as an item of luxury and were most likely to be found around the most powerful and wealthy. In conclusion, concubines were seen as socially inferior and had little to gain from their marriages, as they were viewed as property and had little